Welcome back to another video, and you're probably thinking, Bempton Cliffs again? Well, Bempton Cliffs has to be one of my absolute favourite reserves in the UK, and it's probably a place that a lot of people don't think of visiting in the winter months. A lot of people come to Bempton Cliffs for the spring, when all those seabirds are nesting on the cliffs and they're rearing those young, and there's chances of seeing gannet and puffin and all the other various different fabulous species that this reserve has to offer. However, in the winter months, it really is a premier location for short-eared owls. So hopefully we're going to get some short-eared owls today. There's also a chance of barn owls, so keep your fingers crossed, we might get to see those too. So come along for the journey and see what I see. So we've literally just arrived at Bempton Cliffs, and I came up to the usual owl viewing point, and immediately to my left we've got a short-eared owl that was quartering the field for some time. It dived several times on the ground. I don't think it caught anything, and now it's just come to rest on one of the marker posts down the side of the field. Occasionally it's being mobbed by magpies, but it's just settled. I think it's probably settled because behind me, I don't know whether you can see, there's a huge bank of rain on its way. And probably in about 5 minutes time, we're going to be making a dash back to the car to get ourselves nice and sheltered. And I suspect that's exactly what the short-eared owl is doing right now. He's just putting himself in a position because he can see, he can probably sense that big bank of rain is on its way in, and he's just hunkering down to cover from it. It was the target species. It's what I drove all this way here for. Oh, you can hear it calling. Just short of 3 hours it took us to get here. It's what I wanted to come and photograph today, and Bempton Cliffs yet again has not failed to provide the goods. Absolutely awesome. Worth pointing out that they've had several short-eared owls here over the last couple of weeks. At one point I believe they had up to 6, and also a hen harrier in the area. I'm happy with just one, and one is what I've got, and it's calling away at the moment, which is really, really nice to hear. So I'm going to crack on and get some photographs. We've got 2 now. We've got one on the post in front of us, and we've got a second owl quartering the field at the back. And the one on the post at the side of us is really quite close. So I popped the 2 times teleconverter on because he was right at the back of the field, and now it's come close. So I think eventually I'm going to take that teleconverter off so I can get the shots for you much closer. So I just want to take a brief moment to talk about settings, because settings is something that people often ask about when you're photographing things such as the short-eared owl. Now I think personally that the flight of the short-eared owl can be a little bit deceptive, and although it looks very graceful and slow, it's actually covering ground quite quickly. And when it pauses and begins to hover at a point, its wing speed is really quite quick. So anything below 1,000th of a second on your shutter speed is going to give you blurred images on your wingtips especially. However, that might be an effect that you're looking for, in which case that's completely acceptable. Today I've got quite a lot of light, there's constant banks of rain coming in, but in between the rain we've got some lovely light. So I'm actually got my shutter speed right the way up at 2,000 or 2,500th of a second, which is giving me that opportunity to be able to completely freeze the owl in flight. Now I've spoken about shutter speed, but I'll just very quickly talk about aperture. So again, aperture is one of those things that is very dependent on what kind of effect you're looking for in your photograph. Many of the shots that I've taken today, I've been shooting wide open. So I've got a 400mm 2.8 with a built-in teleconverter. So when the teleconverter is engaged, the aperture, the widest aperture you can have is f4. So I've been mainly shooting at f4. If the owl came closer and I was able to drop it down into 400mm, my aperture then would be at 2.8 and I would shoot it at wide open. Now the downside of that is that at occasions you're going to get opportunities to get the bird, but it'll be a little bit soft in certain areas of the bird. So if you want to increase that, I would increase your aperture all the way up to about f8. F8 will give you a good opportunity to have the full bird front to back, wingtip to wingtip in reasonable focus. So f8 is probably a good go-to aperture. But personally, for the style of photographs that I like to take, I tend to shoot wide open. The beauty of shooting wide open means that I can bring my ISO right down. So today, because we've got a lot of light, I've got a really high shutter speed. My ISO has predominantly been below 1000, which means I won't have to use any kind of noise reducing software such as Topaz. The final thing I'm just going to talk about is this bit of kit. This is a cover from Wildlife Watching Supplies. I'll put a link in the description. I'm not sponsored by them, they've not sent me this for free, I bought it out of my own money, but what I would say is, it is such an invaluable piece of kit. I'm using a pro level camera with pro level lenses and they're completely weather sealed, which means that I don't have to cover them at all. The rain is coming down now just to prove it. However, I genuinely believe you should look after your kit as much as possible. So this, although it's slightly expensive, is completely waterproof, and the benefits of this is it makes no noise whatsoever. So if you're photographing something that's quite noise sensitive, this won't cause any effect whatsoever, and completely protects your camera while it's on the tripod or while you're hand holding it. So I'd really recommend these. They're fantastic if you're ever doing boat trips to protect your camera from salt water, but a fantastic bit of kit. We're going to shelter a little bit more from the rain now because it's really coming down. There's a beautiful rainbow just appearing to the right hand side, which can only mean one thing: there's a huge bank of rain coming. And while the rain is here, the short-eared owl is hunkered down in the grass somewhere, sheltering from the rain, probably just like we should be. So we've been beaten back by the rain. You can probably hear it's absolutely hammering it down. And I think probably the biggest frustration of that is at home. Right now it's glorious sunshine, and it's set to be glorious sunshine all day. When I checked the weather forecast for the East Coast, there was a slight chance of showers, but probably not to the level that we're getting right now. So I thought I'd just take a little bit of a moment to talk about the short-eared owl and give you some facts of the short-eared owl, and I'll probably do that whilst I've got a little bit of footage up on the screen for you of the short-eared owl quartering the fields. It's a fantastic animal, the short-eared owl. It has a huge range. It actually rivals the barn owl for its range worldwide, and it's found across the globe. The short-eared owls that we get in the UK, although we do have some resident short-eared owls, so there'll be some short-eared owls that live here throughout the year, the vast majority of our short-eared owls, and the reason why this time of year is synonymous with photographing them, is that during the winter months, so sort of mid-October into November, the short-eared owls from the continent, so from Iceland, from Scandinavia Peninsula, and indeed Russia, migrate to warmer climates. And so we do get an influx of short-eared owls into the UK during that time. And that's the reason why you've got a greater chance of seeing short-eared owls than at any other time during the year. Now, I've seen short-eared owls on the Isle of Mull in all months. So we do get resident short-eared owls that are here, but your chances of seeing them increase dramatically during the winter months. They are a diurnal species, so you'll have heard the word nocturnal lots and lots of times, and obviously we know that nocturnal means during the night time. Diurnal means during the daytime, so they predominantly are active during the daytime and sleep during the night time. And one of the ways that you can identify that with owls, because there are other owls that are very, very similar, is their eye coloration. And one of the things that makes the short-eared owl such a fabulous and dramatic species to be able to photograph is their piercing yellow eyes. And that yellow eye coloration is what you will see in an animal that is hunting during the daytime. If you compare that to the tawny owl, and I'll just pop a picture on the screen now of a tawny owl, tawny owl's eyes are very dark in coloration, and that shows they are a nocturnal species, so they're hunting during the night time, and that eye coloration allows them to have that great eyesight during the night time. Now, they're called a short-eared owl. They do have ear tufts, so the long-eared owl obviously has quite large ear tufts, hence the long-eared owl, but they do have ear tufts, but they often lay flat to their head. But I believe if you was to startle a short-eared owl, the tufts of the ears will actually stand up and look like horns, and probably deceive the name of the short-eared owl. But they do have ear tufts, but they tend to lie flat to their head. That was absolutely delicious. So the rain came down, we sheltered in the car for about 5 minutes, and then the rain just got stronger and stronger and stronger, and I thought, you know what, we're not far off lunch, let's go and get some lunch. So we did, and we've just had the nicest soup and a roll ever. Leek and potato, one of my favourites. So I feel completely recharged, going back to the car, grabbing my camera, and then going seeing if we can get some more photographs of the short-eared owls. I've just been discussing sightings today on the reserve with one of the wardens. He did say that there was a good chance if the rain cleared and the weather got better that the barn owls might come out this afternoon, and there's been regular sightings of sparrowhawk and peregrine falcons, probably closer to the cliffs. So that might be something that we're going to have a look for this afternoon. There's also, and I did mention it earlier, been a hen harrier passing through. Although the warden said he's not seen it, every time it's been here, he's missed it. But there is a chance. So onwards and upwards, and we'll carry on looking. And if nothing else, this morning's viewing of the short-eared owl was absolutely sensational. So I can't complain in the slightest. So since breaking for lunch, we've had no sightings of the short-eared owls at all. However, I've been entertained by a kestrel that's been on the post to the side of us, and several roe deer off in the distance, which have made some quite interesting subjects to photograph. I suspect they've just gone to roost midday, probably after that heavy rainfall. And fingers crossed what will happen is as we approach the later hours of the day, and as the light hopefully gets better and better, the sky now is beautifully clear, we should get the short-eared owls back in the best light of the day and able to get some fantastic photographs. So it's just a case of fingers crossed, keep watching, and hopefully they'll come and show us. Well, that was just a sensational. We're photographing a short-eared owl to the left, and then somebody else spotted a second short-eared owl to the right, and you didn't know which way to photograph. You were photographing one, and then the other had come close, and you'd have to switch to photographing that one. And then the unbelievable happened. They interacted, so they were fighting, and there was mid-air tassels. I've just had a sneaky peek on the back of the camera, and I've got a couple of shots. I don't know if they're going to be sharp or not. I was at 2,000th of a second, but it was so fast, and the movement was so erratic as they were fighting. I probably could have done with being a faster shutter speed. If I've got anything decent, I'll pop it up on the screen now, but wow, that was just sensational. One of the things that you have when you're at Bempton Cliffs is there are a number of locations that you can photograph these short-eared owls from, and a number of people have dropped to the lower part of the car park to a gate that's facing onto a field where they've been quartering. And the owl that we were photographing originally moved off onto that field, and a number of the photographers left and went that direction, and then you're in that kind of dilemma. Do you stay, do you go, do you move to the other location? Thankfully I stayed, and well, I was rewarded. So that was absolutely sensational. Probably one of the best short-eared owl encounters I've ever experienced. Absolutely sublime. Hopefully not the end of it. We've still got, you know, probably a good hour of daylight left, so there's plenty of more chances and more opportunities, but that was just wow. I don't even know where to begin with that. That was just sensational. We had 3 short-eared owls. They were all quartering in different sections of the field. Then they were coming together and fighting. Then we had a sparrowhawk. I think it's a sparrowhawk. I mean, it was quite far away. I'm going to have to look at the pictures and I might change my mind as to what it was. But then that mobbed one of the short-eared owls and then flew across the field and attacked another one of the short-eared owls, which then drew another short-eared owl in. And then we got a clash of 2 short-eared owls over in the far corner. Thankfully, I had Jen behind me spotting for me, because we had short-eared owls coming from so many different directions. I really didn't know which way to point the camera. Unfortunately, the rain has started. You can probably see it on the lens of the camera, and that might just bring an end to the day. I hope not. We've probably got best part of half an hour of good light left if the rain was to clear. But looking behind me is just a bank of horrible clouds, so I would imagine that that's probably going to be in for it till the light disappears. But we'll keep going. Sometimes you just get a red letter day, and today has been one of them days. We're photographing 1 short-eared owl, then we're photographing 2 short-eared owl, then a 3rd short-eared owl appeared, then a barn owl arrived, then a sparrowhawk joined in, and it has just been absolute chaos. I can see the barn owl now quartering across the field towards me. I don't know where to point the camera. It has just been, wow is the only way to describe it. Sensational, probably one of the best days birding I've ever had. Absolutely fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that every bit as much as I did. What an absolutely fantastic day. I would go as far as to say that was probably one of the best days birding I have ever had. An absolute red letter day. There was a point where the RSPB had organised for a guided walk, and they've got a group of the public, and they brought them over to the owl viewing platform. At that point, we'd got 4 short-eared owls, a barn owl, a sparrowhawk and a kestrel, all competing for the same food source and interacting with one another. And at times, the barn owl was probably, I would say, within 10 metres from the viewing platform. It was just sensational. What an incredible opportunity. So has Bempton Cliffs delivered yet again? Well, of course it has. And I'm sure if you haven't already seen the photographs and the videos that I had to offer, I'll pop some extra on the screen now if I've got any. I'm sure you'll agree with me. It has been an absolutely first-class day. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like and a subscribe. Please consider dropping a comment in the box below. I respond to every single comment. We've got a Buy Me a Coffee website now, so if you want to consider supporting the channel that little bit more, consider dropping onto that website. There's a link on the screen now, probably just at the bottom here, and consider going onto that and donating for a coffee. If you enjoyed the video, fantastic, and until next time, ta-ra.